The sun rises over Dubai's gleaming skyline, casting long shadows across Sheikh Jasim al-Rashid's maritime empire. At 52, he commands a business worth $12 billion from the penthouse of his flagship tower. But wealth, as Jasim has discovered, cannot purchase what his restless soul truly craves: complete dominion over another human being. His empire stretches across shipping lanes, real estate portfolios, and political corridors where his influence shapes destinies with the stroke of a pen. His wife Yasmin stands at the floor-to-ceiling windows, her reflection pale and distant in the glass. At 45, she remains beautiful, her designer abaya perfectly pressed, her silence more eloquent than words could ever be. 23 years of marriage have taught her that conversation with Jasim leads only to carefully orchestrated monologues about his achievements, his vision, his endless need for validation disguised as business discussions. The Maritime Council meeting is at 10, she says without turning, her voice carrying the practiced neutrality of a well-trained assistant rather than a wife. Your speech on the new shipping routes needs final approval from the legal team. Her tone suggests years of such exchanges, each interaction carefully drained of intimacy or genuine connection. Jasim barely acknowledges her words, scrolling through messages on his gold-plated phone with the focused attention he reserves for truly important matters. Among dozens of business communications lies one that makes him pause, sending an unexpected surge of anticipation through his morning routine. Looking forward to tonight's charity gala. Reema. The sender is 19-year-old Reema Al-Nahyan, daughter of his closest friend and business partner, Ghalib Al-Nahyan. The charity gala at the Emirates Palace represents everything Jasim's world embodies: opulence masquerading as philanthropy, power disguised as generosity. As evening descends over Dubai, the Emirates elite gather in a ballroom dripping with crystal chandeliers and Arabian luxury. Yasmin moves through the crowd with practiced grace, exchanging pleasantries with wives of other powerful men, all playing their assigned roles in this elaborate theater of respectability. Ministers and businessmen discuss million-dollar deals between courses, their wives adorned in jewelry worth more than most people's homes. Yet beneath the surface glamour, Jasim's attention fixates on something far more intoxicating than business or social standing. His eyes scan the crowd with predatory patience, waiting for his true interest to arrive. When Reema Al-Nahyan enters the ballroom, the effect on Jasim is immediate and intoxicating. While other men her age fumble with small talk and nervous energy, she carries herself with an innocence that both attracts and challenges him. Her traditional evening dress cannot hide her youth, her nervous laughter revealing a vulnerability that Jasim recognizes as opportunity. Harvard has polished her, but not hardened her, exactly the combination that feeds his hunger for control. She's beautiful tonight, Ghalib Al-Nahyan says, joining Jasim as they watch his daughter navigate the social maze with careful steps. University has been transformative for her. She's developed into a remarkable young woman with such passion for international relations. Ghalib's pride in his daughter is unmistakable, his trust in his oldest friend absolute and unquestioning. Indeed, Jasim replies, calculating eyes never leaving Reema as she speaks animatedly with a group of diplomats' wives. Education opens so many doors for young people today. But the doors Jasim envisions have nothing to do with academic achievement or diplomatic careers, and everything to do with private spaces where his influence can reshape her understanding of power and submission. Their first private conversation occurs on the palace balcony, away from the crowd's watchful eyes and her father's protective presence. Reema speaks passionately about her international relations studies, her dreams of working in diplomacy, perhaps for the UAE's foreign ministry. Jasim listens with practiced attention, asking questions that make her feel intelligent, valued, truly seen for perhaps the first time in her privileged but sheltered life. Your father speaks of you constantly, he tells her, stepping closer than propriety would normally allow. But he never mentioned your remarkable insights into Middle Eastern political dynamics. The compliment sends color to her cheeks, years of living in her successful father's shadow having created exactly the validation hunger that Jasim expertly exploits. Really? You think my analysis has genuine merit? Reema's need for intellectual acknowledgement is palpable, her youth making her transparent in ways that older women have learned to guard against. Sometimes I worry that people only listen because of who my father is. Your ideas stand entirely on their own merit, he murmurs, his hand briefly touching her wrist in what could be dismissed as paternal encouragement. Vision and passion like yours are rare qualities in someone so young. The touch lingers a moment too long, crossing the invisible line between mentorship and seduction, testing her boundaries with practiced precision. As the evening concludes and guests begin their elaborate farewells, Jasim creates their first shared secret. I'd like to continue our conversation about your diplomatic aspirations, he says quietly while Ghalib bids goodbye to other attendees. Perhaps lunch this week? I have valuable connections at several embassies that could prove beneficial to your career development. Reema's eyes light up with possibility, her ambition making her blind to the trap being carefully constructed around her dreams. That would be incredible. Thank you so much, Uncle Jasim. The family title she uses makes his intentions more insidious, her trust more profound and her eventual betrayal more devastating. Our little secret for now, he says with a conspiratorial smile that makes her feel special and chosen. Your father might feel I'm interfering with your studies. Men our age can be quite protective of their daughter's academic focus. His words plant the first seed of deception, making her complicit in hiding their meetings, while positioning himself as the understanding mentor who truly appreciates her potential. Driving home through Dubai's glittering night, Yasmin stares out at the city's towering lights while Jasim's mind races with careful plans. She notices his unusual energy, the way his fingers drum against the steering wheel with anticipation, but says nothing. 23 years of marriage have taught her that curiosity about Jasim's shifting moods leads only to disappointment and the cold reminder of her place in his carefully ordered world. Their lunch meetings begin with calculated innocence at Nobu, where Dubai's elite conduct their most delicate business over pristine sashimi and sake. Jasim positions himself as the wise mentor, sharing insights from decades of political maneuvering and business conquest. But gradually, with the precision of a master manipulator, the conversations shift toward more personal territory, more vulnerable ground. Marriage in our culture is often about alliance rather than passion, he tells her during their third meeting, watching her reaction with predatory patience. Young people today are fortunate to have choices their parents' generation never possessed. His words are carefully crafted to make her question traditional expectations while positioning himself as the understanding, modern alternative to her family's conservative values. Reema confides her deepest fears about disappointing her father, her uncertainty about a future mapped out by others' expectations. Sometimes I feel like I'm living someone else's carefully planned life, she admits, unconsciously echoing the very emptiness that Jasim feeds upon like a parasite. Her vulnerability becomes his weapon, her trust his ammunition. You deserve to be cherished for exactly who you are, he responds, his voice dropping to an intimate register that makes her pulse quicken, not molded into someone else's vision of perfection. Each conversation draws her deeper into his web, making her feel special, chosen, understood in ways her loving but traditional family never managed to achieve. The first physical transgression happens during their sixth meeting, as they walk through the miracle garden away from prying eyes and surveillance cameras. When Jasim's hand finds hers, Reema's entire world shifts on its axis. You're trembling, he observes, though whether from fear or excitement, neither can say with certainty. We shouldn't, she whispers, but her fingers intertwine with his, betraying her words. Years of sheltered living have left her unprepared for such sophisticated manipulation disguised as genuine affection. Age is merely a number, he murmurs, drawing her behind a wall of blooming roses. True connection transcends such arbitrary boundaries created by society's narrow thinking. When he kisses her, gentle at first then more demanding, Reema feels something awaken within her that she never knew existed. Desire mixed with the intoxicating feeling of being wanted by a man of such power and sophistication. Within weeks, Jasim arranges a private apartment in Jumeirah, a sanctuary where their affair can flourish without observation. The space is decorated with tasteful luxury, silk curtains from Turkey, Persian rugs worth more than cars, artwork carefully chosen to create an atmosphere of romantic intimacy. "This is ours," he tells her during their first visit, watching her marvel at the opulence he's created for their secret world. "A place where we can be ourselves, without judgment, without limitations." The apartment becomes their private universe, where Reema transforms from sheltered daughter to willing participant in Jasim's elaborate fantasy of control. Their physical relationship intensifies with each clandestine meeting. Jasim proves to be a skilled lover, patient and attentive in ways that make Reema feel cherished beyond her wildest imagination. But beneath his calculated tenderness lies pure manipulation. Every kiss, every caress designed to deepen her emotional dependence. "I've never felt this way before," she confesses one afternoon, her head resting on his chest. "Like I'm finally truly alive, finally myself." The irony of her words, spoken while living a complete lie, escapes her entirely. But as their secret affair deepens, cracks begin appearing in Reema's carefully maintained family relationships. Her first lies to her parents feel like physical pain, claiming study groups when she's in Jasim's arms, inventing university projects to explain her frequent absences from family dinners that have been sacred since childhood. Ghalib notices his daughter's distracted, secretive behavior during their traditional Thursday evening walks. "You seem distant lately, my precious flower," he observes, his voice heavy with paternal concern. "Is everything well with your studies?" His genuine love and worry make Reema's deception feel like knives twisting in her chest. "Everything's fine, Baba," she lies, unable to meet his trusting eyes. "Just busy with final projects." Each falsehood builds another wall between her and the father she adores. Her mother's intuition proves even more challenging to navigate. "You seem different lately," Seema tells her daughter during a quiet kitchen moment. "Your eyes hold secrets, Habibti. Whatever is troubling you, you can tell your mother anything." The weight of her double life becomes almost unbearable during family prayers, their sincere devotion contrasting sharply with her daily betrayals. As months pass, Reema begins pressing for more definition in their relationship. The secrecy that once felt romantic now chafes against her desire for honesty with the family she loves desperately. "When will we tell my father?" she asks during what will prove to be a pivotal conversation. "I hate lying to him about everything. He trusts me completely, and I'm destroying that trust daily." Jasim's response reveals the masterful manipulation he's been orchestrating from their very first meeting. "Soon, my darling. These delicate matters require perfect timing. Your father and I have complex business arrangements that could be compromised if not handled with extraordinary care. Besides," he continues, his fingers tracing patterns on her skin, "anticipation makes our time together infinitely more precious. One day, when the moment is absolutely right, you'll stand beside me not as my secret, but as my second wife. Islamic law permits it beautifully. Your father will understand completely eventually." The promise of marriage, delivered with such unwavering conviction, silences Reema's growing doubts. In her innocence, she cannot see that Jasim's words are carefully crafted to buy him more time while deepening her commitment to their destructive relationship. But as she leaves their apartment that day, a seed of unease plants itself deep in her mind. Marriage feels simultaneously more real and more impossible than ever before. The morning sickness begins subtly, a queasy feeling during breakfast, an aversion to her favorite jasmine tea that has accompanied her mornings since childhood. Reema initially dismisses these symptoms as stress from her final university examinations and the emotional weight of maintaining her elaborate deception. But when her period fails to arrive, panic sets in like ice water through her veins. The pregnancy test's positive result stares back at her from the pristine marble bathroom of her family's villa. Two pink lines that change everything in an instant. Her hands shake as she processes the magnitude of this development. In her romantic delusion, the baby represents validation, proof of their love, and the catalyst that will finally force Jasim to make their relationship public and legitimate. She imagines his reaction. Surprise giving way to overwhelming joy, followed by immediate action to legitimize their union before her father and all of Dubai society. In her naive fantasy, the pregnancy becomes the golden key that unlocks their future together, transforming her from secret mistress to honored second wife. The phone call to Jasim crackles with nervous energy and desperate hope. "I need to see you immediately," she says, barely able to contain the news that she believes will change both their lives forever. "It's urgent. Life-changing. Tonight," he responds, already calculating potential complications with the cold precision that has built his empire. The usual place. But his tone carries none of the warmth she expects for such momentous news. Reema's announcement hits Jasim like a physical blow, though his expression remains carefully controlled behind decades of practiced diplomacy. As she speaks excitedly about their future, about telling her father, about the blessing this child represents in Islamic tradition, Jasim's mind races through damage control scenarios with ruthless efficiency. "This changes everything," he says finally, and Reema's face lights up with pure joy, catastrophically misinterpreting his meaning. Her radiant smile will haunt him later, the last moment of her genuine happiness before his carefully constructed world of lies crumbles around them both. "Yes, now we can be together openly. No more secrets, no more hiding from my family." Her excitement is heartbreaking in its complete innocence, her trust in his promises absolute even as he prepares to shatter her entirely. But Jasim's next words destroy her world with surgical precision. "Reema, you must understand. This cannot happen. Not now. Perhaps not ever." The color drains from her face as if he's physically struck her. "What do you mean? You promised I would be your second wife. You swore before Allah." Her voice breaks as the foundation of her new reality crumbles beneath her feet. "I spoke of possibilities, not certainties," Jasim interrupts, his voice turning cold as Arctic wind. "A pregnancy complicates everything beyond repair. Your father would never forgive me. My business relationships, my political connections. Everything would be destroyed. His true priorities reveal themselves with devastating clarity." "But the baby, our baby," she begins, tears streaming down her cheeks as she realizes the depth of his betrayal. "Will be taken care of," he finishes with chilling finality. "I know a private clinic. Discreet, professional. This mistake can be corrected before anyone discovers our indiscretion." The private clinic operates from an unmarked building in Dubai's medical district, its sterile corridors hiding procedures that wealthy men prefer to forget. Dr. Mansour, bound by both financial obligation and paralyzing fear of Jasim's influence, asks no questions when the sheikh arrives with a young woman requiring discreet medical attention. The procedure itself goes horrifically wrong. What should have been routine becomes a nightmare of complications. Internal bleeding, severe trauma, a young body unprepared for such violence. Reema's critical condition forces emergency hospitalization, her life hanging by threads while Jasim calculates his exposure rather than her survival. Back home, Reema constructs her most devastating lie yet. "Appendicitis," she tells her parents through gritted teeth. The physical pain nothing compared to the emotional agony of deceiving the two people who love her most. The doctors say it was severe, needed immediate surgery. Ghalib's response breaks what remains of her heart. He never leaves her bedside, holding her hand through fevered nights, whispering prayers for his precious daughter's recovery. "My little flower," he murmurs, stroking her hair with infinite tenderness. "Baba is here. You're safe now." His unconditional love amplifies her guilt beyond endurance. Her mother's sharp intuition proves more dangerous. Seema notices inconsistencies in the medical story, wrong surgical scars, medications that don't match the diagnosis, emotional symptoms that suggest trauma beyond physical illness. "Something doesn't feel right about this," she confides to Ghalib during quiet moments. "Our daughter is hiding something terrible." Watching her parents' genuine concern and desperate love, Reema suffers a complete emotional breakdown. Their goodness contrasts so sharply with the corruption she's embraced that she can barely breathe. Every prayer they offer for her recovery feels like acid on her soul. Every gentle touch a reminder of the innocence she's lost forever. Meanwhile, across the city, Yasmin finally confronts her own willful blindness. 23 years of trained ignorance crack under the weight of Jasim's increasingly obvious deceptions. His frequent absences, Mysterious phone calls conducted in hushed tones. The way he checks his messages with anticipation that their marriage has never inspired. All the pieces form a picture she can no longer deny. The apartment key falls from his jacket pocket like a judgment from heaven. Small, silver, attached to a keychain she's never seen before. When she confronts the evidence of his betrayal, holding the key with trembling fingers, decades of suppressed suspicions flood back with devastating force. Her marriage, her life, her carefully maintained dignity, all built on lies as elaborate as the ones now destroying a 19-year-old girl in a hospital bed across town. The two women, separated by age and circumstance, unknowingly share the same shattering realization. The man they trusted has betrayed them both with calculations as cold as winter storms. As Reema recovers physically while dying emotionally, and Yasmin holds evidence of her husband's ultimate betrayal, the stage is set for the devastating events that will soon consume them all. The golden facade of power and privilege begins cracking, revealing the darkness that has been growing beneath Dubai's glittering surface. In the sterile hospital room, Reema's physical recovery masks a psychological disintegration that runs deeper than any surgeon's blade could reach. Each day brings clearer understanding of Jasim's calculated manipulation. How every kiss was a transaction, every promise a lie designed to keep her compliant. The man she believed loved her had orchestrated her destruction with the same cold precision he applied to hostile business takeovers. Ghalib arrives each morning carrying fresh jasmine flowers and quiet prayers, his presence a constant reminder of the trust she has shattered. "My precious daughter," he whispers, adjusting her blankets with infinite tenderness. "Baba is here. You're going to be strong again." But Reema cannot meet his loving, worried eyes. Every gentle word from the father she adores feels like molten lead poured into the wounds Jasim carved into her soul. The irony consumes her. Her father's best friend, the man he trusts above all others, has violated his daughter in ways that would destroy him if he knew. Revenge thoughts begin circling her mind like vultures, growing stronger as her body heals and her spirit dies. She imagines Jasim's shock when the consequences finally catch up to him, when his carefully constructed world crumbles as completely as hers has. The return home brings no relief, only new torment. Her parents hover with suffocating concern, their careful attention highlighting how thoroughly she has betrayed their love. When Ghalib asks gentle questions about her recovery, Reema responds with hostility that shocks them all. "You wouldn't understand," she explodes during what should have been a peaceful family dinner. "You see everything through your perfect little world where everyone is honest and good." Her words hit Ghalib like physical blows, confusion and pain etching deep lines across his weathered face. "Habibti, what has changed in you?" he asks, his voice breaking with paternal anguish. "Where is my sweet daughter who used to tell me everything?" But Reema cannot explain that his sweet daughter died on an operating table in an unmarked clinic, killed by his most trusted friend's betrayal. Her mother's tears become a constant presence. "We're losing our daughter," Seema whispers to Ghalib during their private moments. "She's becoming someone we don't recognize, someone filled with anger we cannot reach." The woman who carried Reema for 9 months, who nursed her through childhood illnesses and celebrated her every achievement, now watches helplessly as her child transforms into a stranger consumed by rage. Reema's internal war tears her apart, desperate love for her father battling against overwhelming hatred for his best friend. Every family meal becomes a battlefield where she must pretend normalcy while planning destruction. The cognitive dissonance drives her toward a psychological breaking point that approaches with each passing day. The final blow comes during what should have been an ordinary evening. Scrolling through social media during family dinner, Reema discovers Jasim's ultimate insult, a lavish announcement of his vow renewal with Yasmin. Professional photographers capture the devoted couple in romantic poses, their story crafted for public consumption about rekindling romance after decades of partnership. The announcement declares their renewed commitment to each other and their shared future, complete with quotes about the sanctity of marriage and the importance of family values. Reading these words while sitting at her family's dinner table, Reema suffers a complete psychological fracture. Her breakdown is immediate and devastating. The phone crashes to the floor as she doubles over, animal sounds of anguish erupting from her throat. Before her startled parents can react, she's running to her room, slamming the door with such force that family photographs fall from nearby walls. "What's wrong with our daughter?" Ghalib asks desperately, staring at the closed door that might as well be a wall between him and his child. The man who has solved countless business problems and navigated complex political situations finds himself powerless against his daughter's mysterious anguish. Their final family dinner passes in almost complete silence. Reema sits like a ghost at their table, mechanically moving food around her plate while her parents exchange worried glances. The vibrant young woman who once filled their home with laughter and dreams has been replaced by someone hollow, dangerous, unreachable. "Talk to me, my heart." Ghalib pleads during one last desperate attempt to reach her. "Whatever burden you carry, share it with Baba. There is nothing we cannot face together." His words carry 20 years of unconditional love, but they cannot penetrate the wall of rage and pain that now defines his daughter's existence. "I'm sorry, Baba," Reema whispers, her voice carrying a finality that chills him to the bone. "I'm sorry for everything." These prove to be her final words to the father who would have died to protect her from the very destruction his best friend has orchestrated. Her parents watch helplessly as their daughter completes her withdrawal from the world they share. Ghalib's intuition, sharpened by decades of reading people and situations, screams warnings he cannot interpret. Something terrible approaches their family like a storm gathering strength over the desert. In the dark hours before dawn, Reema moves through her father's study with practiced silence. His gun collection, properly licensed and secured, represents his only hobby beyond business and family. The weight of the pistol in her hands feels like justice finally taking shape. She's past caring about consequences, past hoping for redemption or rescue. The secluded villa she rents overlooks Dubai's sprawling desert, a perfect location for final confrontations and ultimate resolutions. Her text to Jasim carries simple words that mask devastating intentions. "One last goodbye. Come alone." Meanwhile, across the city, Yasmin follows the apartment key to its devastating revelation. The secret sanctuary reveals everything. Photographs of Jasim with a young woman young enough to be his daughter. Gifts that were never meant for wives. Evidence of betrayals that span months. 23 years of marriage dissolve into lies as elaborate as the ones that built Jasim's empire. Her emotional collapse echoes through the empty apartment, the sound of a life's foundation crumbling into dust. The villa's marble floors gleam like mirrors under the desert moon as Jasim arrives expecting another scene in their tired drama. He believes this summons represents Reema's final desperate attempt at reconciliation, perhaps even an opportunity to negotiate her silence more permanently. His confidence radiates through every calculated step as he enters their chosen battleground. A man who has never faced consequences he could not buy or manipulate away. But the woman waiting for him bears no resemblance to the trembling girl he seduced months ago. Reema stands with her back to the floor-to-ceiling windows, her silhouette framed against Dubai's glittering skyline like an angel of judgment. When she turns, her eyes hold the cold emptiness of someone who has already died inside, who has nothing left to lose and everything to avenge. "You came," she says, her voice carrying none of the desperate love that once made her so easy to control. "I wasn't certain you would risk exposing yourself for one final meeting with your discarded plaything. Reema, darling, we need to discuss your recent behavior." Jasim begins, sliding into the patronizing tone that once made her feel special. "Your emotional state is understandable, but we must think rationally about our situation." "Our situation?" Her laugh cuts through the air like breaking glass. "There is no our anymore, Jasim. There never was. Just you using me, destroying me, and betraying my father's trust in ways that would kill him if he knew." Her words strip away his mask of concern, revealing the calculating predator underneath. "You destroyed me completely," she continues, stepping closer as he instinctively retreats. "But worse, you betrayed my father, the man who trusted you with his business, his friendship, and most sacred of all, his daughter. Baba loved you like a brother, and you violated that trust in the most obscene way possible." Jasim's composure finally cracks as he realizes this is not negotiation but judgment. You came to me willingly. You made your own choices. I never forced. You manipulated a 19-year-old girl with the skill of a predator who had practiced on others before me. She interrupts, her voice rising with controlled fury. You promised marriage, spoke of love, created elaborate fantasies while planning my destruction from our very first conversation. The truth hangs between them like a blade. All his careful words, his promises of second wives and legitimate futures, his manipulation of her dreams and vulnerabilities. Everything exposed under the harsh light of consequence. For perhaps the first time in his life, Jasim faces someone immune to his influence, someone beyond his power to control or corrupt. Baba trusted you with everything, including me. Reema whispers, tears flowing freely now, and you turned that trust into a weapon to destroy his daughter. There is no forgiveness for that sin, no redemption for that betrayal. The first gunshot echoes through the villa like thunder, striking Jasim in the chest and sending him staggering backward. His shock is absolute, the disbelief of a man who has never faced real consequences meeting ultimate accountability. The second shot finds his shoulder, spinning him around as blood begins painting abstract patterns on the pristine marble. This is for my father's broken heart too, Reema says, her voice steady despite the tears. For the trust you shattered, for the daughter you killed, for the friendship you perverted into something obscene. The third shot drops him to his knees, power finally meeting its ultimate match in the form of a girl he believed he had completely destroyed. As Jasim's life bleeds away onto floors worth more than most people's homes, Reema experiences a moment of terrible clarity. The revenge she has dreamed of brings no peace, no healing, no restoration of what was lost. The emptiness inside her remains unchanged. The innocence destroyed cannot be reclaimed through violence. Standing over his body, she understands with devastating precision that nothing can undo what he did to her. Nothing can restore her relationship with her beloved father. The girl who walked into Jasim's web months ago is gone forever, and killing her destroyer cannot resurrect her. Forgive me, Baba, she whispers to the empty villa, her final thoughts turning to the man whose love defined her entire world. With trembling fingers, she types her last message. I'm sorry for everything. I love you always. Your daughter. The final gunshot ends all pain, all guilt, all the unbearable weight of living with what she had become. Reema falls beside her destroyer, their blood mingling on marble that reflects the Dubai skyline like 1,000 watching eyes. Ghalib's arrival begins with hope and ends with anguish beyond human endurance. His daughter's final text sends him racing through the desert night, traffic laws meaningless against parental desperation. But the scene waiting at the villa destroys him more completely than any business failure or personal tragedy ever could. My baby girl, he screams, cradling Reema's lifeless body as police sirens wail in the distance. My precious daughter. Only when investigators pull him away does he fully process the second body. His best friend, his trusted partner, the man he had loved like a brother lying in a pool of blood beside his destroyed child. The media explosion consumes Dubai society within hours. Billionaire Sheikh's secret affair with best friend's daughter ends in murder-suicide, dominates every headline, exposing the corruption beneath the Emirates' golden facade. Ghalib faces the unbearable truth. He has lost both his daughter and his dearest friend, discovering simultaneously that one destroyed the other. Yasmin's private devastation becomes public humiliation as details of Jasim's manipulation emerge. 23 years of marriage revealed as elaborate theater, her dignity shattered before the watching world. Two families lie in ruins, their foundations destroyed by one man's insatiable hunger for control. In the end, empty mansions stand as monuments to the price of unchecked power. Ghalib visits two graves now, his daughter's and eventually his former friends, carrying the unbearable knowledge that trust betrayed destroys everything sacred, that some sins echo through generations, and that power without conscience inevitably devours itself.